Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about the need for prosecutorial reform in this country. Okay, so prosecutors have a lot of leeway as to how they prosecute people, if they're even going to prosecute people, to what extent, whether they're going to be lenient or go very hard. And a lot of times that comes down to politics, right? What's going to be better for their career, what social class they perceive you to be part of, what political party they perceive you to be part of. So that's entirely unfair. So there's a couple of things that prosecutors will do to put unfair pressure on people to basically plea bargain. Okay, so the first thing that they will do is they will overcharge people. Okay, so whatever crime they think that you might have done, they're not just going to charge you with that crime. They're going to come in way above that. So even if in reality it might just be a manslaughter charge, they're going to come after you for murder one. Okay, and what they're trying to do there is they're trying to put pressure on you to plea bargain and accept the lesser charge. Okay? So that's the first thing that has to stop. They have to stop overcharging people. That has to be made illegal. Next thing, only one charge per crime event, okay? Because it's very typical for people, if they go to court, they'll be like, one situation, right? Let's say it is a self-defense situation, but all of a sudden there's like 90 counts against them, right? They just keep adding all these counts, so what prosecutors need to be limited to the highest charge. So if they think that this is a manslaughter case, all the other stuff below it should not it's not something that you should have to defend yourself with. You should just have to focus on defending yourself against the highest charge. So if you broke the speeding limit, on that day, if if there's an issue of what kind of gun you're carrying, what the magazine capacity is, whatever minor laws you might have broken, none of that should charge. If you're facing the possibility of a murder charge, that should be the only thing that you should have to deal with. Okay, so that's the next thing. There should only be one charge per crime event. Okay, so what that means is, like, on a separate day, separate occasion, if there's something else happened, that would be a separate event. Okay. The next thing is that prosecutors need to be should face penalties and fines for mistakes that they make. Okay, so if they trample on people's rights, if they unfairly prosecute people, the prosecutor, basically the people should be rewarded, because the way it works is if we make a mistake, right? Let's say we're speeding or something, right? Cop pulls us over, and we go to court and we lose, right? We have to pay a fine, all right, for that mistake that we made. But however, let's say you show up to court and you have video cameras and proof, undeniable proof that you were not speeding or you did not run that red light. Well, the best you can hope for is not guilty, right? You don't get compensated for your time and hassle and heartache and all that. So that should stop. When the state makes a mistake, they should pay penalties and fines, and you should be compensated for this distress that they have caused you. Okay, so that's the next reform that I think needs to happen. Now the other thing is that number 4 here, prosecutors should have to should be able to prove that they have no political bias. Okay. Now, in most cases, that probably is not going to be an issue, right? But usually in self-defense cases, that's almost always an issue. There's almost always seems to be a political bias with lots of prosecutors. So they should have to be able to face that standard and be able to prove that they had no political bias and they weren't trying to further their political career. Okay? Number 5, only violent crimes can be labeled a felony. Okay, if you're convicted of a felony, you lose your rights. So a lot of times these days it seems that they're calling almost everything and anything a felony. So we have to go back to felonies. The only thing that can be classified a felony is a violent crime against an actual person. Okay, because there's been a lot of abuse in this area where they're kind of labeling everything as a felony. And again, this is a way that this is a tool that they use to get people to plea bargain, right? So even let's say if it's something minor, like let's say if it's a question of theft, all right, question here of theft, where they're like, well, accept the plea bargain, or we're gonna come after you for some, I don't know, grand theft or something. I don't know this week, but which is, if we go to the next level, it's a felony. Whereas if we keep it down if you accept the plea bargain, we're gonna keep it at the misdemeanor level. So this is a way that they use to put, a technique that they use to put unfair pressure on people. So felonies should only be limited to violent crimes against other people. Okay. Victimless. Number 6. Victimless crimes should be treated as such. Okay. If nobody was hurt, okay, it can't possibly be a serious crime. So if you hurt the government's feelings, okay, under no circumstances is that should that be considered a felony. If you hack into the CIA's computer, right, because they didn't do a good job of protecting it, right, that is not a felony. Okay, that's the CIA or the government not doing their job. Okay, so victimless crimes should be treated as such. Okay, I mean, at best, if you hack into a CIA computer, maybe that's trespassing. Okay, at the very best. Number 7. Okay, no prosecution of constitutionally questionable cases. Okay, so in cases where, let's say, they're trying to charge you with gun possession or the magazine capacity of what you're carrying or certain types of ammunition, or not just limited to gun cases, but if it's a case that involves whether or not the evidence was gathered properly, whether the police had the proper search warrants, okay, or whether it's a freedom of speech case. In any case that is constitutionally questionable, okay, they shouldn't be able to prosecute you on that. And I am sure that if whatever you did was so serious, there's something else that they could find to charge you with. So again, what this comes down to is, if let's say you use a gun for self-defense, and these prosecutors in these cities want to come after you for a manslaughter charge, right? And in that city, for example, they have magazine capacity limits. They should not be. That shouldn't even come up as an issue. Number one, because again, they should only be able to charge you one crime per event. But number two, because this is constitutionally questionable. Okay, so they shouldn't be able to that you should basically be able to get a pass on that. Okay, until this is definitively sorted out in the courts. Anything that is constitutionally questionable, they should not be able to pursue in the courts against. Okay, so one of the things I want to point out here is that the gun-carrying, conservative, constitutionalist people out there, we are in the position where we are being squeezed from two sides. Okay, so on the one side we got like the hardcore law and order Republicans, which are like, there's no excuses or exceptions for breaking the law. Okay, so they, if gun carrying people or gun owning people make any mistakes, they're gonna say, sure, prosecute them to the full extent of the law. And so we're being squeezed from that side, and then on the other side, we're also being squeezed by the anti-gun socialist leftist Democrats, who are, let's say, against us for political reasons, right? But at the same time, they want to carve out exceptions for people that they believe to be, that they are politically allied with. Okay, so the gun-owning community, right? We're being squeezed from both sides. We got the hardcore law and order Republicans on one side, and the socialist leftist Democrats on the other, and they're both coming after us. Okay. So that's something for us to be aware of, right? It's not just the Democrats that we need to protect ourselves from, but it's also the Republicans that we're at risk from, okay? A lot of them are equally dangerous. So, like I said, you gotta have, if you're gonna be carrying a gun, you have to have a prepaid legal service. The last thing you want to do is find yourself being accused of a of killing somebody, right? When it's really a self-defense type of situation, they're going to come after you for manslaughter, murder, all this stuff. At that point, if you don't have a prepaid lawyer, right? If you call up your wife or your mother from prison, and you're like, hey, listen, I'm sitting in jail. I've been accused of a murder. I need you to go find me a lawyer. First of all, your wife or mother is going to get completely freaked out, okay? And number two, when they go to find the lawyer, that lawyer is going to ask them for like a $2,000 retainer up front, okay? So it's really hard and expensive to go lawyer shopping after you've already been accused of a crime. So that's why you have to have a prepaid legal service. The one that I use is US Law Shield. Okay, it's pretty cheap. It's $11 per month. All right, so it's going to cost you something like $150 a year, and most of us spend more money at the gun range when we go. So that's the website, uslawshield.com, and there's a promo code there for you. Pocono shooting, that's going to get you some discount. It's different from state to state. In some states, they waive, they'll take off like $30. On other states, they'll give you a free month. In some states, they'll give you like 2 extra months at the end. But you get some discount for using that promo code. But overall, it's not expensive. It's about $11 per month. It's US Law Shield. It's almost, it's cheap enough that it makes no sense to not have this if you're gonna be carrying a gun. Okay, and there's 3 ways that I use this. Number one, if I'm ever in a self-defense type of situation, I have a lawyer right there that I can call up on hand. And one of the things I'll do is I'll make a copy of my membership card, and I'll put it in an envelope in the drawer, because if I ever do get in that type of situation, remember, they're going to take your phone, they're going to take your wallet, you're not going to have access to that information. The only number that you're going to remember is your wife's or your mother's. So you want to be able to call them up, tell them, go into this drawer, get the phone number to the lawyer, call them up and tell them I'm in this prison and to come get me and figure out what's going on here. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do. You're gonna the first way that you can use them if you're ever actually in a self-defense situation. The chances of most of us being in that type of situation is very slim. Okay, so the second way, the more frequent way that I use this service is I ask them gun questions. Okay, so for example, I carry this Palmer 80 that I built myself. Okay, is it legal for me to carry? Okay, I kind of knew the answer to that, but I wanted to know for sure, so I sent them an email, and they told me definitively that it is legal for me to carry this with my carry permit in my state of Pennsylvania. Now, the other way that I will typically use this service is if I'm traveling. So this same gun here, first of all, can I bring it to another state? Like, let's say I'm traveling down to Florida. Okay, what they will do is they will give me an itinerary, right? They'll say, okay, so you can carry the gun on you through these states. You can't carry it through these other states over here. You're gonna have to unload it, put it in your trunk, and through these other states over here, it's illegal for that gun to be there at all. So don't go through those states. Instead of taking that path, take this other path to get to wherever you're going. Okay, so those are the 3 ways I use the legal service. Number 1, if I'm ever actually in a self-defense situation. Number 2, if I got just general gun questions, right? Like, can I carry this gun, magazine capacity, that kind of stuff. And thirdly, if I'm traveling, I will get an itinerary from them, where I'm starting from, where I'm going, all the states I'm going to be traveling in between. Can I carry? Can I not carry? Can I even have the gun there? So that's the way I use it. So again, that is US Law Shield. Right over there. And it's $11 per month, $10.95. And there's the website to sign up. You gotta sign up through the website in order to get the discounts. The promo code is Pocono Shooting. If for any reason the promo code is not working at the website, download the app for US Law Shield. You're gonna be able to sign up that way. And going back to summing up back to the original point of this video, the need for prosecutorial reform, because prosecutors will use the discrepancy, right, that they have to try and force you to plea bargain, right? Whereas if they, just came at you for what they should be doing, right, you would have no reason to plea bargain with them. You would just, fight the case. But however, if they come in way above that, right, and threaten you with, let's say, 100 years in jail, now they're putting unfair pressure on you, to accept their plea bargain, because they're like, okay, accept the plea bargain, do the 6 months or a year or 2 years in prison, versus fight this in court, in which case you're never going to see the light of day again. Okay, so that is completely unfair. That needs to stop. Okay, so thanks for watching. Drop some comments below. If you're not a member of my channel, subscribe. I will talk to you all soon.